Hello ladies and gentlemen and everyone beyond. I am BabyNoobCakes and this is PlayStation Plus free game reviews. And in this episode, we're going to be taking a look at one of the March 2020 free games, Sonic Forces. First off, full disclosure, I haven't played or purchased a Sonic game since Sonic Adventure 2 on the GameCube. But I'm aware of the flops that they've had in the more recent years, like Sonic 06 and Sonic Boom. So, going into this game, I was a little hesitant and skeptical, but I always want to try to judge games fairly and at least give them a try before making a decision. So now, let's attempt to answer the question, as one of the free games of the month, was it worth it? Mechanics. Gotta go fast is the name of the game, and Sonic does indeed go fast. In Forces, you play as both modern Sonic and classic Sonic, and as a new character of your own creation. That's right, any Sonic OC you have, you can bring it right into the game, and play as a hedgehog, bird, dog, wolf, rabbit, bear, or even a cat. Each has its own specific bonus power, but none of them make any one choice any better than any other, and none are impactful enough to sway your choice, so play whatever furry creature strikes your fancy. All of the classic Sonic gameplay is here. Running fast, jumping, spin dashing, homing attacks, and using the Wispin? The Wispin. What is this? What? I can't keep doing this! I can't keep up this facade anymore! This game is bad. It's so bad! Here's the real truth about how the game plays. It doesn't. Well, I mean it does. It plays. It plays itself. I kept testing. I would let go of the controller and see how long the game would continue to play itself while I just didn't do anything. And as far as gotta go fast, that's kinda true, until the game doesn't want you to go fast anymore. It wants you to just stand there and wait and make very methodical jumps for no reason. And there are 3 characters to play in this game. Modern Sonic, who is the biggest offender of the game just playing by itself. Most of his stages just involve you holding down the boost button and mashing your way through enemies. Classic Sonic, and I'm not even sure why he's here, has the strangest jump arc for the way his stages are designed. You can almost jump across half the screen, but you can never see what's over there. And he has a weird tendency to bounce off of enemies and boxes at very odd angles. Last, and certainly least, is your OC Sonic Universe character. On all of the stages where you play as him or her, the game suffers from both slowdown and the game playing itself. And then, some other stages you play alongside Sonic, and there is no point for you to be there. None! I don't know if it's the specific species that I chose, or if all the characters start out with the specific weapon that I did, but I started out with a flamethrower. It trivialized the combat in the game, and most of the boss fights, which again, I ask, why am I playing this game when the game just wants to play and finish itself? Art style. The art style in this game is really weird to talk about, because at a standstill, the game is pretty impressive. The Sonic team captured the old look of the Green Hill Zone and other classic stages pretty well, but when the game is fully in motion, it feels like there's dropped frames all of the time, and there's something wrong with the perspective. I can't quite put my finger on it, but with as fast as you go while you're playing the game, I always felt like I couldn't judge depth well enough to know when things were coming up and when I needed to react to them. And that's for the 3D stages. For the 2D, I always felt like the game was too compressed on the sides because you went so fast that I could never see anything coming. And because of the weird frame rate issues I ran into, it was sickening to try to watch the edges of the screen to know what was coming. And some of the cutscenes, oh my god, some of the cutscenes, there's this really strange juxtaposition of Sonic's okay textured gloves next to this really weird reboot-looking backdrop of mountains that pixelates like crazy. Look! Here, see the ships in the background? What happened to them? What happened to the rendering? This is the PS4! I just don't understand why these pre-rendered cutscenes are rendered so poorly. I've seen better ones back on the PS1. Sound. Out of all the aspects of the game, this is actually where the game shines. I wouldn't pretend like this music is for everyone. It's very pop electronic slash butt rock. You know, like Hoobastank. No, seriously, not a joke. Hoobastank wrote a song for this game. Look at it, Hoobastank. Replayability. I think I finished the entirety of this game, including the DLC, in less than 4 hours. There are 30 levels in the main game, plus about 10 extra slash secret levels, and then there are 3 extra levels in the Shadow DLC, and that DLC only takes about 15 to 20 minutes to complete. Yeah, I know. It was free for all owners of the game, so it's not actually a bonus here. Any owner of Sonic Forces already has access to this. And even though the game warns you not to, go ahead and play the DLC section first, because you'll be disappointed if you wait to come back for it at the end. Because if you do actually make it through this game, by the time you get around to the DLC, it's pointless. And I especially recommend this to any fans of Shadow the Hedgehog, because once you complete the DLC, you can use him in about 5 levels of the main game. Woo, 5 whole levels. There is also apparently some kind of online daily quest system for this game, where you're supposed to use other people's Sonic OC original characters in the missions instead of your own, or that you can swap between them. I didn't really venture to look into it too much. The only reason to do these is to unlock more gear for your character, and by gear I mean outfits. And I guess if you want, you could also set best times for the time trials on every level. If that's really what you're about, go for it. There's also a list of missions which are basically just getting best times on each level and finishing them with S ranks. The rewards for doing these is also more costume equipment. That's it. That's all you can unlock. Narrative. And now, we've come to the worst of the worst. This plotline makes no sense! At the start of the game, Sonic is defeated by Eggman and a new villain, Infinite. Infinite has a budget version of the Chaos Emerald, now called the Phantom Ruby. With it, he's able to recreate the old villains from previous games, Chaos, Zavok, Metal Sonic, and Shadow the Hedgehog, and proceeds to beat up Sonic. Afterwards, Sonic is presumed dead, and the game starts 6 months after this event. During that time, Dr. Robotnik proceeded to take over the world with his army of robots, because Sonic's the only one who can stop him apparently. The only hope now is a team of the rejected characters from all the old Sonic games, with Knuckles leading them all. They've got Silver the Hedgehog, who I would have thought would know better to just stay back in Sonic 06, where he belongs. Amy Rose, who seems to have even less personality than she usually does, which is really saying something. There's also Charmy the Bee, Espio the Chameleon, and Vector the Crocodile. Who are they? Who knows? I've never played the respective games that they came from originally, but I can say for certain that in this iteration, they have no defining personality traits and are incredibly boring and add literally nothing to the story. The one character I was actually kind of glad to see on this team was Rouge the Bat, who in past games has actually been one of the more interesting characters. But this time around, they've completely removed all personality from her, and she's basically just a second Amy Rose. Like we really needed another one. You spend most of your time in the game trying to reclaim the world from Dr. Robotnik, or Eggman's clutches, which just usually involves running to the end of a stage, and that's about it. To explain why running to the end of a stage means you're beating bad guys, there's dialogue in between each level, but the dialogue that you get is inane at best and confusing and nonsensical at worst. Half of the time when the main cast is talking about what your character needs to be doing, they don't address you directly. They just show your portrait on the page, and it always just seems like one of these odd scenes from a movie where by the end of the scene someone has to say, "Hey, you guys know I'm still here, right?" The thing that really struck me as being bizarre in this story, I know, right? Bizarre in this story? Is that Tails completely bails on everybody else and goes to hang out with classic Sonic. The more I watched him interact with the old Sonic, all I could think was Tails was reminiscing about the old days when the games weren't so terrible, and when Tails actually had a part to play, and was even playable, and could freaking fly. It was kind of painful and awkward to watch. Go look at it yourself, it's really strange. Well, I guess don't play this game, but here, just listen to this.
Cheer up, Tails. I'm sure we'll run into him again.
My opinion. I hated this game. I've avoided modern Sonic games for quite a while now. Ever since the Adventure series, I haven't picked one up, and now I for sure know why. The Adventure series was really only okay, and the best thing about them was the Chow Garden. Sonic Adventure originally released in 1998, and the second in 2001. I don't know how two games from 20 some odd years ago feel better, more polished, and have a better mechanical structure than a game that released just 3 years ago. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Usually, when a game has multiple playable characters, they tend to create unique playstyles to each of them. In Sonic Forces, each character is almost identical, with only a tiny amount of difference. Every time you switch, all you end up with is a really jarring experience where you don't feel you know the controls as well as you thought you did because they've slightly changed. I don't know how else to say this, but one of these statements is true about this game. Number 1, your custom character is not necessary. Or, number 2, Sonic is not necessary. It feels like if they just would have made your character more like Sonic, or had they made Sonic more like your character, at least as far as the powers and abilities that you have, and seriously, classic Sonic, not necessary at all, then maybe they could have made one cohesive gameplay experience with one main character that might have just been a little bit better than the sum of its parts. Another portion of this game that really bugs me is that every single time you beat one of the bosses, the storyline and the cutscene that follows basically retcons itself and says, "Oh no, that boss was actually stronger than you. You didn't really win or make any progress by beating them. You just set them back a few minutes and were a minor inconvenience." Why in the world would I want to keep playing a game where every time I beat a boss in the next cutscene, he just kicks my ass anyway? What's the point? Was it worth it? No! Don't bother. Don't even download. Don't even waste your time or your hard drive space on this game. Even if you have kids that need a distraction for 5 or so hours, don't even bother with this one. It doesn't challenge you, it isn't fun, the story makes no sense. Skip it. In fact, a skip it would be more fun. It is not worth it. This game is definitely not worth one of our free game spots of the month. Usually, I try to see a bright side for every one of these games, but this time I just couldn't. I think the only bright side this time is that we get 2 free games every month. And the other one just might make up for this pile of trash. But maybe that's for you to decide. I know there are Sonic fans out there, and whether you agree or disagree with my judgment, get at me in the comments, let me know what you think, and let's discuss if this month's games were worth it or not. Also, don't forget to go out onto the PlayStation Store and download your free games every month, because hey, they're free, and sometimes you will end up with a few gems. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you later.